Last week, we revealed the 10 worst car dealers in America, and our community went crazy. But the number one comment we got was, well, so where should I actually go to buy a car?
Well, that's the biggest question of all. Well, I think we've got some answers for you today. You need to look for some good dealers.
Exactly. So today, we've graded those same 10,000 dealers, and we're going to give you the best ones. If you're buying a car anytime soon, you need to know these names. Now, if you saw our last video, you know how this works. And if you didn't, let me give you a quick overview. We built the Dealer Transparency Index, which is the largest dealer grading system ever created. And over 10,000 dealerships have been graded on how transparent they are, including their pricing, fees, and how they treat buyers. Now, this is real transaction data, not reviews and not opinions. And last time we showed you what an F dealer looked like. Today, we're going to be showing you dealers that got an A+, a 100 out of 100.
And let me tell you, getting an A+ is not an easy thing to do. That means you have to do almost everything perfectly.
Now, here's the deal. It's a little tricky to make the 10 best dealers in the United States of America because we have 300 of them that we've graded that get a 100 out of 100 score. So, Dad, what I actually want to do here instead is walk you through what these dealers do differently and why it matters. And obviously, we'll give you some links in the description down below so that you can find them in your state, in your neighborhood, things like that. But let's start here, Dad, just some high-level stats. Some states have more perfect dealers than others. Any guesses which state has the most perfect dealers?
No, I couldn't even begin to, because I would think everybody's going to go, every state's got the worst dealers.
California has 75 out of our 300, 100 out of 100 perfect dealers. Then New York with 22, Pennsylvania with 22, Texas with 19, New Jersey with 10, Illinois with 9, Ohio with 6, Utah with 6, Washington with 6, and Michigan with 6. What about brands, Dad? Which brands do you think actually have the most perfect dealers?
Subaru. I'm going to bet Subaru.
All right. Well, you're going to be a little bit upset to hear this. Ford actually has 34 dealers in the Dealer Transparency Index that have perfect scores. Then Hyundai with 24, Chevy with 21, Honda with 20, Mazda with 17, Toyota with 17, Subaru and Kia with 16, BMW with 15, and GMC with 11. Now, this is what's interesting, Dad. There's only one luxury brand in that list, and that's BMW there in the top 10.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because of the way they try to treat their customers. Most BMW dealerships seem to be more on the up and up than most other dealers.
Now, Dad, let's talk about the add-on story here. Perfect dealers, they add on $0 to these transactions. Add-ons, if you're unfamiliar, folks, are all those things that dealers add to a car deal to try and make more money, versus non-perfect dealers add on average $1,222 in add-ons. Now, add-on frequency, how often does it happen? Obviously, 0% of the time for our perfect dealers. It happens every 4 out of 10 times, 40% of the time at normal dealers out there where you're getting hit with some sort of add-on you didn't ask for. And doc fees, Pops, the doc fee at a perfect dealership on average is $278 versus all dealers, $447. And my favorite thing here, Dad, 4.09%. That is the typical discount below the listing price that you're getting from a perfect dealership. That is significantly below where most dealers are in our database.
So you're suggesting to me that the A+ dealers, the vast majority of them, are actually willing to sell you the car below what the advertised price was?
Not the vast majority of them, just the perfect dealers. The perfect dealers are 4.09% below. Most other dealers are closer to 0%, or obviously in many cases, go watch our worst dealer video. Sometimes they're 15% more from what their advertised price was is what they're actually going to sell you the car for.
Well, I think it makes it even more important to find those perfect dealers.
Now, Dad, we ran through the states that have the most perfect dealers, but I've got a couple other stats here for you. Half of the dealerships that we've contacted in the state of Maine actually get a 100 out of 100 score. 40% of the dealers we've talked to in Wyoming get a 100 out of 100 score. A quarter of the dealers in Nebraska get a 100 out of 100 score. Kentucky, we've only got 42 qualifying dealers that we have 3 or more quotes from, but not a single one has a perfect score. Same for Arkansas and Delaware, and you've been waiting for it, Florida. We have 432 qualifying dealers that we have 3 or more price quotes from. Only 4 get a 100 out of 100 score. That's less than 1%. So if you're buying in Florida, do your homework.
Yeah, and then some. Find out what state near you has the most dealers with the perfect score.
For the state of Florida, Dad, where you do have to do your homework, I want to call out two dealers in particular: March Motors in Jacksonville, Florida, and Weichert Ford in Lake Walls, Florida. First things first, Dad, March Motors has a $0 processing fee. So that's a great thing to see. Who knew that was possible in the state of Florida? And over at Weichert Ford, Dad, $399 doc fee. So that's really, really good. That is like perfect for as good as you can get in the state of Florida, where we know the average doc fee is typically $1,000.
Yes, that's that dealership that's saying, you know what, we could add a doc fee, we choose not to. I mean, right there, that gives you a great indication as to the business practices of that dealer. It's a business choice, and they'd rather earn the profit than just add the profit.
Now, we mentioned brands before. There's no EV brands on this list, so that's interesting to see. And only 56 luxury dealers in total versus 196 non luxury dealers in our data set actually have a perfect score here. So it seems like you're more likely to get a better experience at a mainstream dealer than a luxury dealer, which is pretty interesting.
Well, but there's not nearly as many luxury dealers to begin with as there are the mass market brands. So my guess is that the ultimate percentage of luxury dealerships that will give you that A plus experience, that's a bigger percentage of the total group of dealers than say the mass market brands.
Pops, let's give some kudos to some specific dealers. Let's name some names. We mentioned Weichert Ford before, as well as March Motors, but let's give a shout out down to Walnut Creek Ford in California. We have 21 quotes from them. They have an $85 doc fee, and on average, they're selling 10% below their listed price. Galpin Mazda is another example with 20 quotes and an $85 doc fee. So obviously, the state of California with a doc fee cap helps. Larry H. Miller CDJR in Utah, 17 quotes we've received from them, and they're selling 12% below their listed price on average. And Roe Auburn out in Maine, 14 quotes from them, and again have a 100 out of 100 score.
That is interesting that there are dealers out there that are willing to play fair, uh, be open, honest, and transparent. And obviously, I'm guessing, but I would think it would be so much quicker to complete a transaction at those type of dealerships than it would be at, well, the worst dealerships.
Yeah, it's quite the juxtaposition. So if you haven't watched our worst dealership video, obviously go watch it and you'll see some of the fees, add-ons, and absolute craziness that happens over there. And use the links in the description down below. Use the Dealer Transparency Index. Every single day, more data is being added to this index. And obviously the dealers who are scoring high, which to be clear here, 100 out of 100 is quite the threshold. There are a lot of A-rated dealers. There are many, many, many more just A-rated dealers. They don't get a perfect score, but they get an A or an A minus. Go look at those dealers as folks that you could trust and that you can feel comfortable about shopping for your next car.
It's great that we're able to gather all this information, have the receipts, so to speak, because they're the ones that have provided us with the detailed out the door quotes, and be able to put all this together so that people can make an informed decision as to who they want to buy their car from and what type of business practices they want to tolerate when they are spending, I don't know, the second most expensive purchase in their lives.